water, not a thought of giving in. I've been feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank. When it take a swim, only option is to win. In the murky water, not a thought of giving in. Welcome to the shrimp tank. Want to put it all together, this is big things. Doing big things, chasing big dreams. Yeah, it's all real, this life's all that it seems. All the chicks scream, all the dudes yell. This is just what I do and I do it well. With the flow fresher than the new shoe smell. Going through hell, well homie keep going. You know the saying, you gon' reap what you sow in. So I don't chase girls, I just chase dreams. Play the same game, but we ain't in the same league. Running a campaign, Roadie 2016. Like a phone to die, putting me in charge. I'm a general, from the front I'ma lead the charge. Like a federal, fell on my lap never. Going hard as ever, the results match.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Oz Digital Studio. We film the Boca Raton Shrimp Tank in collaboration with the FAU Adams Center for Entrepreneurship. We find the do's and don'ts of running a business down here in South Florida. Last week, we had our past guest event. We invited about 50 to 75 of our past guests, out to an event. It was kind of fun. We got to really find out what all these businesses are up to, post-pandemic over here. Kevin, what were your thoughts, about our event last week?
Oh, it was a great event. It was nice to get out and see some of our past guests and get some updates on their businesses. Really, really great news all around.
I almost forgot how to network. I was like, it's my first time being in a venue with other people, like shaking hands, hugging, holding, cards out. We're just not used to that anymore, right?
I think it's like riding a bike. You'll get right back up on it, and you'll be right where we left off. I'm encouraged to see a lot of the activity around, so hopefully it continues to progress in the same way, and hopefully the students come back at some point. It's still pretty dead around here.
Yeah, it was interesting to have conversations with a lot of these business owners. When COVID-19 hit, a lot of them were getting crushed, right? A lot of restaurant owners, a lot of small business owners, they did not know what to do. Now they have the opposite problem. They can't figure out how to hire people, right? Everyone in the audience saying how, they got, more opportunity out there, but they just can't staff right now. Is that kind of, what you were hearing in the crowd last week?
Yeah, and there's been a lot of news and stories about it. Who knows? Maybe it's a function of entrepreneurship. There's quite a few people who've launched ventures during or after the pandemic. So a lot of new businesses getting started, a lot of activities in my area, which is fun, but it keeps me busy.
And you guys are up to something with the boot camp coming up in the fall, correct?
Oh, we're always up to something. We've got a lot of plans. But right now our focus is on the National Science Foundation's I-Core program, where we try to see if the most innovative, technologically advanced discoveries that are made in the laboratories and in the harder science building and from the entrepreneurs in our community.
So way above my head is what you're trying to tell me.
Way above mine.
Way above my head.
I can't
a lab?
follow.
I don't even know where one is.
No, but we run them through this program to see if that stuff might be commercializable, because they build it, design it, create it with public funds, and why not get it out there in the marketplace if it's something that's commercializable? Sometimes these things are just fun and interesting, but they should probably just stay in the lab.
Cool. Anything else going on at FAU that our audience should hear about?
Nope, that's it.
Cool. Well, this is your first time tuning in. This is the podcast where we interview the best and brightest entrepreneurs from South Florida, find the do's and don'ts running a business. And you catch all these amazing episodes up on iHeartRadio, Spotify, wherever you catch your podcast these days, or our website, shrimptankpodcast.com. Today, we have the president, Pat Deshong. She runs Furry Friends Adoption Clinic and Ranch. So we're excited to hear about what you are up to, Pat. So tell us a little bit about your organization.
Thank you for having us. And boy, do I agree. It's glad to be back. We just celebrated our 40-year anniversary.
Nice.
And
wow.
We couldn't, we had a brand new building, which was finished last year. We couldn't open it because it was done just when COVID was enacted. So we had to figure out how to do business without having people come in traditionally. And we are an essential business. What's interesting is we are an essential business, but yet our employees are so young that they did not qualify to have vaccines. So we had to figure out, how do we keep operating, keep our doors open because we have a hospital. Aside from having an adoption facility with animals available for adoption, we also have a clinic that's open to the public that takes care of our animals as well as other rescues. So we had to invest in telemed because we didn't want people coming in without masks and weren't not vaccinated, which we did. We refigured our parking lot and put parking cones up with numbers, and when you would come up and say I'm in parking spot 3, and we would have a vet tech come out with a mask and take the animal and bring him in. So we had to figure out how to do business and adapt to what was happening with COVID. There's no rules on that. We've never been through that before. And now we've come through it, and we have this brand new 15,000 square foot building, and people are allowed to come back into the building. And we're busy and thriving, and people are adopting animals, and so it's good at Furry Friends. We're doing great.
Wow, sounds like you've got a lot of stuff going on. That's amazing.
We do.
So how are adoption rates? I remember hearing a lot of news stories. I didn't know if there'd be any animals left to adopt. It seemed like early in the pandemic that was a very, very popular thing to do, was adopt a new furry friend, as you might put it. And
it was a good time. It was a good time to do that because families were home. And so they could spend time, especially when you got a puppy. It was a good time to start training the dog. So our adoptions were up, and I'm happy to say we didn't have a lot of returns. I know that New York City, of course, being originally from New York, I still read my New York Post, and the ASPCA there, they have a lot of animals being returned from people that adopted during the pandemic, which thankfully didn't happen to us because we really, I have to say, sometimes they say it's like buying a car when you come to Furry Friends to get an animal. We really do our homework and make sure somebody really knows what's involved.
Yeah, a lot of scumbags up there in New York.
It's a consistent debate on the podcast. Kevin's a Floridian.
From New York.
I'm a New Yorker. Of course, we've been in collaboration for 4 years now, so it's always a theme here on the Shrimp Tank.
Listen, you better be careful. I think everybody from Florida is coming from New York nowadays, so you're outnumbered.
Yeah, it's getting worse and worse.
At this table, 2-1, Kevin, be careful.
No, but so a lot of good things, and I'm glad that things are opening back up because we also could not have our events last year.
Okay.
We had 2 huge events planned, and actually we had one, we were able to have one in, but the other 2 we couldn't. So, but now we're going full force with a fashion show in November and our gala in February, and we have a clay shoot in March. So we're going forward. So we hope that people will get their vaccinations. So whatever they're saying out there about people getting the new version of COVID, don't get it. And we don't go back to wearing masks and having to close down, right?
Yeah.
So walk us through this 15,000 square foot facility. There's one section,
Yes.
the hospital side, one section is the adoption, other sections for events. Kind of give us kind of a walkthrough.
And with a nonprofit, which we are, we built this building with donors. We opened, our people helped us build this. So we built in certain features so that the community could take advantage of it. We have a Pups and Cups cafe. So if you're coming in to adopt or you're coming in to have your dog or cat seen in the clinic, you can now come upstairs, now that we're open, have a cup of coffee in our cafe. We'll have the news on. Or you can watch, we have a webcam watching the kittens running up and down the staircase or watching puppies, which is really cool.
You guys serve at Starbucks by chance?
No.
Oh,
No.
my
But
wife-
we have
I
all
would have got
different,
my wife in there. That's why I'm asking, of course.
although we have a couple of different, we have one of those Keurigs, so we do have a couple of Starbucks there, but a little Dunkin' Donut, a little bit of everybody now.
What are the licensing rules? We always talk about Starbucks, like who's allowed to have one. I know certain hotel chains are allowed to, Targets are. Can we get one in?
I'm sure there's a fee you have to pay, right? I'm sure.
Maybe. We know a recent builder that built one that was on the podcast, so we could pick his brain on that one.
But we have the Pups and Cups Cafe. We also have 2. We have a community room and an activities room with the thought of people coming to have their child's birthday party, and we'll have puppies there or kittens for them to play with.
Okay.
And we'll
Nice.
rent that room out. That's part of our business plan to do that. A lot of businesses had to close down and work from home, and they don't have office space. If they want to come in and have their board meeting at Furry Friends or have an employee meeting or something, we can order lunch in for them during the lunch hour. They can go mingle with the kittens and the puppies. We all know, I think you all know how therapeutic animals are. So what would be better than that, coming into our facility? It's a beautiful facility. Outside, we have outdoor play yards. So that our dogs are not, sitting in cages. They're out mingling with other dogs, and state-of-the-art brand new clinic, dental machines, X-ray. Just really well done. We planned it out well.
And how many people work for the organization?
55. approximately 55. But there's 4 locations. So we have the adoption side, we have the clinic, we have a magnificent thrift store boutique, which also raises money for us for the shelter. That's on Indiantown Road in Jupiter.
Okay.
And then we have a ranch in Palm City, 27 acres.
Wow.
We have dogs, cats. We're going to be unveiling our brand new training center for our shelter to service dog program up there. We have a new trainer that's coming in, a female veteran, Marine, that she herself has her own service dog, and she's a dog trainer, and so she's going to be working for us for our program that we've had in existence since 2014. So we have a service dog program.
So let's back things up a little bit. When did you become president of the organization? Was this, always in your blood to do this? Kind of give us some of the backstory of you yourself.
Sure. I've always been, even as a child, into animals. And I probably would have went to become a veterinarian, but I was not a big fan of school. I really wasn't. And to go to be a veterinarian, you have to, 8 years of college and 10 years of college, which I really didn't want to do. But in high school, I volunteered at the ASPCA, and as a kid growing up in Manhattan, they call them feral cats here. They had alley cats there, throughout the street. And I used to rally them up. My allowance money would go towards feeding them. I remember using Visine to take care of their eye infections and things like that. So I always loved animals. And when I moved here in 99 or whatever, at some point, I wound up getting involved with an animal shelter, this animal shelter, although it had a different name, and became their chairman of the board, left them in 2008, went on to do other things. And then in 2013, they had a change in staff, and they asked me to come in and be the executive director. So I wound up coming in as a paid position and taking over the management, which we put a new board of directors, a new management team, and from that time on, we have built steadily to the point now we built a brand new 15,000 square foot building, and we have a beautiful ranch, and so we've really come a long way, and I'm very proud of Furry Friends.
Yeah.
It really is, and I have to say, none of this could be possible without my team, without my management team, my employees, my volunteers, my incredible board of directors. It's a whole, it takes a village to get the organization to where it is today.
Yeah, I didn't realize kind of the size and the scope and all the different locations and all the different things that you're doing. It's a lot.
It is, and it's good, and we're helping people. When we're so much more than just an animal rescue organization, because the programs we have a service dog program, we have a senior to senior program. It's designed because we realize the connection of what animals can do for people. And they really are saving people's lives, especially during COVID. We had an awful lot of seniors come in. We also have cats. So if they were not able to walk a dog, adopt a senior cat or a cat. All they have to do is change a litter box and feed. And some cats are like dogs. You can play fetch with them and you can talk to them. And seniors, we've seen how seniors, animals can transform their lives. Now they get a dog. They're forced to go out and have to walk the dog. They wind up meeting their neighbors.
I mean, people get off their cell phones and they're not staring at the screens on social media anymore?
A lot of seniors don't not attached to them like we are. Those were the days. Yeah, I know. I don't know what I would do without my phone nearby. It's right next to me. But it really transforms animals transform people's lives. They're very healing, and cats do as well. We've seen that. We're actually now, I would say, probably our cat adoptions as much as our dogs, which it wasn't like that before. But now it is.
So tell us the hardest thing of running this organization as leader.
Probably raising money, because we are, that's why we're always thinking of innovative ideas. We're a nonprofit. And so we're not allowed to, we don't go into this business to make millions, which I know is the goal for most people when you're going into a business. We're in it because we love the mission. We love the animals. And I'm happy to say that, our goal is to break even. And I'm happy to say, like 2020, through the worst year, we made $80,000 over what our operating was, which was great. We did exactly what we're supposed to be doing. Even though we had our fundraisers canceled, we had to get a little innovative and just do more appeal letters and appeal to our donors to help us. So that's always the toughest thing, is raising money and getting the message across about what we're about and what sets us apart. I mean, all these charities are wonderful out there, so you have to find the people that are animals. And let's face it, mostly everybody, I would like to think most people, most families also have a four-legged family member, so they understand.
Yeah, I have a question, Pat. How are you able to make the biggest impact from the 4 branches that you have, from the shelter to the animal hospital to, it sounds like the ranch is a little bit newer, and is it 4 different nonprofits, or is it it's one company? It's been all 4
it's
the whole
all
time?
It's all one. I mean, they're all under one umbrella. Let's put it that way. I mean, our official name is the Humane Society of Greater Jupiter Tequesta, doing business as Furry Friends Adoption Clinic and Ranch. We should probably have the Thrift Store name in there too, because that's taken off and doing remarkably well, And that's another thing right now. And I was just reading that yesterday in the newspaper, that secondhand clothing is like one of the biggest things. And I think some sort of an IPO came out for that. And guess what? We have that business. So I'm happy to say we're a little bit ahead of the curve, and we didn't realize it. But just the whole building, the whole 4 entities coming together. We all work in sync with each other. I think sometimes the biggest challenge is probably trying to keep everybody where one doesn't feel like the stepchild. Sometimes the ranch, because it's 25 miles away, feels like it's out of the loop a little bit. So
Sure.
It's probably, and the clinic, they're always so busy in there, or adoption. And I can relate to, I know we were talking earlier a little bit on the side about the challenges of hiring employees is very tough. I mean, McDonald's is offering, I think, $15 an hour, which is forcing us to raise up what we normally, again, we're a non-profit, so that's probably one of the biggest challenges. But people that are in our business also are very passionate.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to...
Very passionate. I mean, I always say, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, And that's the way I feel in some ways. I work very hard, but I love what I do. Best thing in the world is to see an animal that we take out of a hoarding situation or it's been tied to a tree, take it in, heal it, get it come out of its shell, work with it, get it healthy, and then you find the home that it goes to. Best thing is when I get a note, a call from the homeowner saying, thank you so much, and they send me pictures. I get goosebumps watching the transformation of these animals, and know that Furry Friends did that.
That's awesome. And what is the mission statement?
It's to rescue, rehome, and rehabilitate every animal that comes in and we're in no-kill. We're in no-kill. We really stick to that. I mean, there have some animals we've had to put down, unfortunately. Either they were very sick or very dangerous. But I could probably count on one hand in years, We don't euthanize for space. As a matter of fact, a lot of the animals we take are from kill shelters. I'm very proud, and it's something little you guys probably don't realize, that Furry Friends provided the first bomb sniffing dog to FAU on this campus back in 2000. I think it was 2018 or 2019.
Do you know that, Kevin? You aware?
No.
I don't know if
seen
he's
a couple police dogs around here and there working with campus police, but I didn't know anything about that. That's fantastic.
I don't know if that particular dog, because they tend to move those around, but he was here. Max was here. And the thing about Max, I had gotten a phone call from an employee inside of a kill shelter up in Martin County saying, Pat, I know you're a no-kill. There's a Belgian Malinois, 9 months old, that they're going to put down. I said, for what reason? They said, he's dangerous. I said, well, maybe he is dangerous. They said, no, he's not. I said, what is he doing? They said, he's pacing. Now, Malinois, that's the kind of a dog that you see on TV with the SEAL Team 6. Those are the dogs that go in, they're amazing animals that the military use. Very, very smart, but very energetic. What happens often is that these shelters don't know that pacing and that jumping up and down is not aggression. They want to work. They need a job. We know that. So I sent a trainer in to evaluate the dog quickly, and he called me up. He said, Pat, this is a great dog. I said, well, take him, get him out of there. And Max came, and I have a picture of him, his skin and bones, because what some of these shelters do is they don't feed him enough, and they put him in smaller cages, which is cruelty, and it almost drives them crazy. We took Max. I called the sheriff's department. They sent their guy out, evaluated the dog, and said this dog is perfect for bomb sniffing. So he went to training. I think it was like 8 or 9 months later, I got a call and said, guess what? He's on the campus of FAU, and the president said thank you. And that's, to me, that is the greatest feeling. We saved that dog's life. Now he's paying it forward
That's an awesome story.
on this very campus.
For our audience listening, we're going to post that up on our social media so you get the whole entire article. Pat has an article in front of us right now, and it's a great story. We're going to take a quick commercial break to hear from one of our sponsors. Pat, when we get back, we're going to jump to our Hot or Not segment of the show.
Step into our state-of-the-art innovation lab and create your digital future. Oz uses cutting-edge technology and 22 years of industry knowledge to enhance customer experience through digital innovation in a variety of expertise. Oz is a leading global consulting company whose services and solutions are trusted by startup, midsize, and even Fortune 500 companies. Get to know more about Oz's Salus, a mobile solution bringing us back to max capacity, and their latest solution, Rainmaker, saving insurance companies years of work. To learn more about Oz and their exciting technologies, visit followoz.com. That's FOLLOWOZ.com.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Shrimp Tank. If this is your first time tuning in, we do these shows every Thursday at 4 p.m. at Shrimp Tank Boca on Facebook Live. This week, of course, we're coming to you a bit early on Wednesday. But, Pat, on this segment of the show, it is called Hot or Not. So I'm going to ask you, about a certain topic, and you tell us, in more detail why you think it's hot or not. So I guess hiring millennials, has that been hot or not with your organization?
What's your definition of a millennial?
Yeah.
22 to 35. That's all. I know Kevin's laughing. What is it, 26 to 35 now? Gen Z or millennial? We'll throw both of them in there.
I'd have to say it's. Can I say not only in the?
You could say not.
Only in the
Kevin,
respect
she
that,
don't want to hire you.
No, not
Kevin's a millennial over here.
meaning forget the title millennium. It's the person.
Okay,
know.
but when
You have good millennials and not good.
Yeah. Kevin, what are you smiling about over there?
Oh, no,
Yeah.
I'm just following along. It's tough to say. I got to ask a question about dogs, right? So, hot or not, big dogs. I feel like for a while, at least where I live, I saw everybody with their little tiny dog and their dog in their purse and their dog at their restaurant and the dog in the palm of their hand. But more recently, and it could just be luck or the people that live around me, but I've been seeing more big dogs. Big dogs, hot or not?
Hot. I think people like to have that big dog, especially for exercise.
Yeah.
Being more active. And I'm happy to hear that, because one of the beefs with me is that these homeowners associations are, coming out with different breeds and size restrictions and things like that, which is creating more animals to be euthanized.
Yeah, it's really challenging down here. My parents were actually going to move a little closer to me, and this large neighborhood that's 55 plus, nice golf course. The whole thing has a 40-pound limit.
Right,
They
right.
couldn't have, and they have a golden doodle, which you're probably familiar with.
Sure, it's a great
It's
dog.
about the friendliest dog on the planet, but it's a big one, so
Right.
it's over the weight. And it's like, that dog, okay, you don't need to worry about that dog. It bows down to little tiny ones, and it's just a nice dog,
I agree. And there are some great pit bulls, and that poor breed is, there's some bad ones too.
That's
But
the kind of dog I've always had, and I've always had great experiences.
they're so lovable.
Yeah.
They're very trainable. That's their problem.
Yeah.
That's their problem.
Okay, breeders. We know that you're probably going to say not hot. So what is not hot when it comes to breeders?
Not hot.
I'm assuming, correct?
You know what? During the pandemic, I had a lot of people wanted to get a certain type of Havanese or some sort of dog, and that's a beef with me. And that don't come up with a picture in your mind. It's got to be 3 pounds, Yorkie or whatever. Go into a shelter and take a look and see what's there, and see if there's a dog that meets your eyes, you make eye contact with. Don't go necessarily by breed. So I guess I would say not. Although there are good breeders out there. I don't want to offend the breeders.
You're up, Kevin.
So, events this year. What is your prediction about yours? Hot? Are people going to come right back out, or you think they'll be hesitant?
Hot. Especially, let's see, our big fashion show, Furry Friends and Fancy Things. We have one of the housewives of New Jersey as a special guest, Melissa Gora. We have Saks Fifth Avenue, by the way, is the store that's coming in, and they never do fashion shows. They're coming forward.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sounds like quite an event.
We have it at the Magnificent Pelican Club, which is on the Intercoastal in Jupiter. So I think, I've been to a few big events already, and they were packed. People
Yeah.
are coming out. People want to be out seeing each other. They really do.
Well, you heard it here first. Go to the Furry Friends events. Bring
Yes.
your checkbook and
And-
help support them.
Hey, and we have our big gala in February, and Joe Namath and Charlie Modica are the chairs of that. The one and only Joe Namath is the nicest guy. He's very involved in our organization. Good guy.
Okay.
Nice.
Emotional support licenses, right? All these crackdowns have happened, and everyone's trying to bring pets on airplanes, bringing the pets when they shouldn't in certain hotel locations, right? So, I guess in general, hot or not, this topic and go into detail.
It's a hot topic. I hate it. Absolutely hate it because we have a service dog program, and there are legitimate therapy dogs out there, and these people are able to get these, these fake IDs off the internet and put a little vest on it, and it's not, and it just.
I see them at the store sometimes, the
ridiculous.
grocery store, and it's clearly they just got this thing off Amazon, and it's practically misspelled. It's that's not a real thing. It's fake. Get out of here.
We had one of our veterans on his first trip on the airplane getting on. He had his service dog and his service dog. Our service dogs are trained not to react to dogs. We've trained them.
That's the other thing that I was going to say is you can obviously tell
You
by
can.
their behavior. They run up to you. They want attention. Working dogs that are trained to work are working. They don't even
right.
notice you unless
don't.
they're just keeping an eye. Okay, check. They're focused. They're at work. These dogs aren't. They're running amok.
Well, that's what happened in the airplane. Somebody's dog, little terrier, came running up and starts biting at the service dog. Service dog didn't even move, and the poor veteran is like, "Get your dog away from my dog." Not the service dog didn't do a thing, and this other dog is running around with a vest on it, which
Yeah.
clearly is not. So that I despise that, and but I know that they're cracking down. At least in Florida, they're trying to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
can
I
you
think
talk
it's
about the
good.
flip side of that a little bit, Pat? We talked about how seniors, you've seen these dogs make a big difference and, giving them a companion, getting them outside to exercise. Can you talk a little bit how they've been used to make a difference in some of the veterans' lives as well?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I have something here. We have our veterans program. Our service dogs are trained over a year for a lot of those guys are special ops. They're really guys that have been through. They're on the front lines of everything, and these dogs absolutely transform their lives. I mean, because these guys have flashbacks still, but they're able to reach out. Their dog is right next to them, and their dog just changes the whole life. From now, they can go into a restaurant. I mean, some of these guys have not left their homes for years. Now they go into a mall, shopping with their wife. They'll go to a movie theater, do things that they never did before, but as long as the dog is by their side. And these dogs are trained to know when they're feeling anxious. The dogs will go right up to them and lean up against them so that they can be petted, or they'll get up and hug them. I mean, it's amazing what these dogs do. Or they're trained to pick up their cell phone if they drop it and hand it to them, or they're trained to turn the light switches off. It's the most amazing thing to say. But the best thing is when we get letters from the wives, and thank you for giving me my husband back. This is the guy I married 20 years ago, but we lost him after we went to war. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys have served, but picture you go from your white picket fence home, you either get drafted or you just volunteer to go in.
Get recruited.
Get recruited. The next thing you know, you're on the front lines of Iraq. You're seeing your comrades get killed. Nobody could prepare for that. Nobody can. And how it affects you. And then they come back, and they're supposed to just jump back into society like nothing. And they hear a car backfire, and they think they're back in war. And that's the reality of what's happening to these veterans. But it's thankfully, I mean, as opposed to Vietnam. And my husband served in Vietnam. And I didn't realize what PTS was until after this program, but I realized he had PTS. He was in an assault helicopter. So, and he would, if I had to go wake him up in the morning, I'd go, "Bob, I would like and go in the other room because when he finally heard me, he would jump out of bed. What? You know, that's PTS. You know.
Yeah.
So, and back then in Vietnam, we didn't treat our veterans the way we do now. Thank God, we've come to realize that we have to value them and take care of them. We owe them, and that's what this program that we do. We don't charge them 1 cent for the training. We raise that money. I raised that money. I started that program, and it's the best program, the absolute best program.
Paige is joining us today. Paige, you got a question?
Yeah, so is it hot or not for business owners and companies to amend their pet policy as far as bringing your dog to work?
Depends on the pet, too. You don't want to have a pet in there that's going to nip at everybody and that's going to nip on other dogs. I think it's great, you know, if it makes the people more productive. I know I've had to run home on my lunch hour and stuff to take care of my dogs because my husband passed away this past year. And I don't really want to take them so much to work, so much because I'm around, so I have so many animals. And I'm always bringing the shelter animals in my office. But they can be annoying to other people. You know, I think it's a great thing if they can figure out a way to make it work. You know.
Okay, we're going to switch gears for a moment before we hit to a commercial break. We didn't talk much about running an organization when it comes to marketing. You know, when you look at social media, pets are number one on the list. So what is hot when it comes to marketing your organization,
Social
with
media.
pets in general?
Social media. I mean, we put all of our animals up on social media, on Instagram. You know, I do little videos with them, and so that people can see the humans, not the human side, but their personalities. You know, we're always trying to explain to people what their personalities are, so they're not just sheltered dogs sitting behind a window. You know, what they're capable of. What they're good at.
Which platforms are your favorites?
Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah, Facebook. Although we're starting to look to TikTok. We're starting to get into that.
Kevin's just starting that too. He just opened up a new handle. What is it again, Kevin? What's your new handle?
Yeah, Professor Not on TikTok.
I like that one. Let's sign him up, Travis. That's his new nickname. Okay, we're going to take a quick commercial break to hear from one of our sponsors. When we get back, we're going to jump to our Future Focus segment.
This episode is brought to you in part by Premier Virtual, the best virtual job fair and hiring platform of the future. We are moving away from virtual. We are going back to hybrid, and we know Premier Virtual is your number one spot. If you need to host a job fair, try to hire, you heard it here first. Even Pat mentioned hiring's hard. It's hard for all business owners, particularly hard right now. So if you've got a challenge and you need some help, go to premiervirtual.com. That's your one-stop shop for all things hiring and virtual hybrid events.
Okay, so Pat, 55 people are working with your organization. Mm-hmm. What is your trick, to hiring?
Well, first of all, you don't know until you get them in working with you. And we have a lot of no-shows like and everybody else. Out of I would say like the 10 or 15 appointments we get, if we get 2 that shows up,
That's crazy.
It is
I
crazy.
just can't believe that in your type of organization. I thought that was specific, to folks Travis was hiring.
Mm-hmm.
They just didn't want to show up, on his interviews. He'd get all bummed out. I go, Travis, it's quite normal, but I didn't see it coming, in your type of atmosphere.
So it is, but people have to realize, I think people that come in and work for us realize their love for animals. I mean, let's face it, people aren't going to apply to us unless they really want to be around animals, So we just try and show them what the outcome of how gratifying it is when these animals come in, what they look like, and by you working one-on-one with these animals and just taking care of them on a daily basis and helping them get a home, how gratifying that is. It's the best feeling in the world. So the people that work for us, and we have people, believe it or not, that have worked for us for 10 years, and haven't had a lot of raises, but because it's the animals that keep them there and the passion for that.
So, being that you are working with animals, which a lot of people are passionate about, and we know we've already mentioned, but not just active duty or past active duty veterans, but for anybody, if anybody's interested in the research on the psychological benefits of pets, the Happiness Lab up in Harvard has done a ton of research that really draws out the implications of just having a pet for anyone. It's really intriguing. Surprisingly, it has a larger impact than salary increases. So, you know, you can make more money, but maybe just get a pet.
Right.
So do you get many volunteers? And
We
how
do.
do you organize that and recruit? And that seems like it'd be a viable option as well.
And that's another thing that's changed over the years because of insurance, you know, working with animals. We don't want people to get bit. So we have a volunteer orientation. In order to volunteer for Furry Friends, you have to go on, fill out our application, and then we have these orientations every week, every 2 weeks, and the Lacey's in charge of that. We'll take you through all the rules, the do's and don'ts. There's certain areas, certain dogs we don't want those people to walk, and so we kind of just take them through that. Or we might have volunteers that want to work at our thrift store, or volunteers that want to do events. We have probably over 100 volunteers right now, recently registered, that we're kind of integrating into our organization.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And that's very gratifying. So,
So what are some of the platforms that you've used when it comes to hiring? Do you stick to things like Indeed, LinkedIn? What are some things that you've learned from your
we've
experience
done
work well?
Indeed. We've also had to hire a new veterinarian. That's another area that it's hard to find a really good veterinarian, and we do surgeries and all that, but which we have. I'm very proud of the group that we have. They went on to I think it's the American Medical Association or something in order to do that. We also tried recruiting from New York. We took advantage of that. Who wouldn't want to come to Florida?
That's a great move, you know, because often, you know,
Sure.
everyone's putting the listings here down in South Florida, but you put a listing in Florida, you know, it's enticing. You know, like, oh, look, it said New York, but, you know, all the pictures show palm trees, and people, you know, in a moment's notice, we'll switch gears and say, hey, I'll take you up on that offer, take an interview.
And being that I'm from New York, you know, so it was so easy for me to relate to and talk to these people and say, this is what's going to happen when you come down, and this is the difference, you know. And we were doing that before. I mean, it's just really recently that people are really coming in big time from New York, right? Just more recently than before. We were doing that, you know, a year and a half ago, trying to recruit from other areas like that.
Okay,
So you can blame us, Kevin.
It's just what we need down here.
She's going back to New York again. It sounds like if there's two resumes there, one's New York, one's Floridian. I think we know who she's accepting over here. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
No. Now, don't get me in trouble over here.
When she explains the differences she referenced, she says, so there's a whole bunch of New Yorkers, but it's hot.
Yep.
That's the difference.
Okay, we're going to take a quick commercial break to hear from one of our sponsors. When we get back, jump into our Plead, the fifth segment of the show.
Are you ready to make your indelible impression? DeRay & Company is an award-winning, full-service public relations and marketing agency with offices in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and Aspen, Colorado. With practice areas in business, real estate, cannabis, nonprofit, legal, and lifestyle, DeRay & Company is fully equipped to help clients reach their goals with strategies that are on point. Whether it's public relations, social media, digital marketing, content development, or other services, DeRay & Company delivers results for business owners that address their business goals and reach their targeted audience. To learn more about DeRay & Company and our services, visit DeRayandCompany.com. DeRayandCompany.com.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Shrimp Tank. As a reminder, catch all these amazing episodes up on our website, shrimptankpodcast.com, where you can read all about the different, you know, entrepreneurs we've had on the show, all the different bios, and of course, connect with them over on LinkedIn or Instagram and shoot a message and, you know, get in contact with them and pick their brain, of course. So, Pat, this segment of the show, it is called Plead the Fifth. So you can only say I plead the fifth just one time. After that, you got to figure out how to get around that answer, of course, you know, when we ask these difficult questions that Kevin's smiling about, you know, in a moment here. So let's talk about PR for a moment. What has been your biggest PR nightmare and how did you handle it?
Biggest PR nightmare. I'm trying to think if we have the best PR firm, so which you had Pantelides on recently. I don't know if we,
last week.
yeah. I'm trying to think if we really had a nightmare.
No employee was bit, for example.
We've had that happen, but it never made really, you know, got into the news, something
Okay.
like that. I'm just trying to think. I don't think we've had any.
That's good.
Honestly, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get something juicy, but I don't have anything.
That's all right.
I was thinking Tiger King came in my mind, and somehow
Yeah,
something negative happened, and then you gotta Be careful. That was obviously a tiger, not a dog or a cat.
Yeah, a little bit different.
Okay, I have one. Okay, so
There
one
we
side.
go. We
All
got
right, but
one.
I mean, okay. So we, a couple of years ago, we had somebody, a young lady that was homeless, which we wound up hiring. She somehow wound up at, I think, our thrift store or something, and she wanted to bring her dog. We talked about how she needed the thrift store clothes and all that stuff, that she didn't have anything, and her back window was she was living in the rest area, and she wanted to surrender her 2 dogs. So my thrift store manager called me. I saw how much she loved her animals. She really didn't want to surrender them. So we wound up giving her a job and helping her out to get a place to live. Well, turns out later we find out she's a hoarder. I mean, she's still with us part time, but she sometimes you think you want to help somebody, which is, and especially in our business, you always want to do that. And there were some parts of it that she wasn't as sincere as we would have liked.
Yeah, it's always hard as a leader of an organization. You give someone everything, and
Yes.
and then it's not often taken the same way and not appreciated, which is always hard. We see that in the shrimp tank all the time. These leaders run these large organizations, and they try to build great company culture, try to bonus people, try to bring them on trips, have events, and then in a moment's notice they're gone. Don't even tell them the proper way, and they're on to their next venture, and they're ghosting them on every email and text. And it's just not the way you treat someone that had a lot of care for you. I always believe. Don't burn bridges, right? It's a small world down here. Paige.
And one of those things that Emily mentioned when she was on the owner of Pantelides PR is crisis management. So when you have a PR client, one way to prevent those disasters is to be one step ahead of the news and prevent it from getting in those headlines, and also following the headlines. I know just recently down here in South Florida, there was an outbreak of the dog flu, and Furry Friends jumped right on that and didn't make those headlines, but did go ahead and vaccinate all of their dogs against the flu.
That's true. That's very true. We're always keeping our ear to that stuff.
All right, so earlier we talked about how pit bulls can get a bad rap just because of a reputation and a bunch of other factors. But I want to ask you about maybe the other side of that coin. Maybe a dog that's got a good reputation that from your perspective, what would be kind of the worst? Well, I won't say the worst dog, but that's a dog maybe that is particularly challenging. A specific breed or type or anything like that.
I don't want to say the breed necessarily, and I especially with the how there's been so much, people are feeling so much stress. We see stress being transformed over to the animals. People don't realize that these dogs pick up on their behavior, and that these dogs, they can't meditate, they can't go work out, they don't know how to channel that, And one of the things I always try and say to people that sometimes they want to surrender their dog because of their dog is getting nippy. Well, why is that? The dog, left here, it was perfectly fine. It was it was a puppy, and now it's coming back with issues. What has been going on in your home since then? We try and work people with that. We would prefer people not surrender their dogs, and we try and work with them, whatever breed it is.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And try and keep them so that we don't have one more dog with an issue, in our shelter that we have to work with.
Yep.
Okay. A moment ago I said Tiger King.
Yes, I watched it. Who didn't?
Who is your favorite person, Joe Exotic or Carol Baskin, or do you plead the fifth?
Well, let's see. I'll say after those two, I'll say Carol.
Oh, she answered it. Okay. What do you like about Carol?
Well, just that she loves animals. I mean, I think she's got issues too.
Yes.
She definitely has issues, and I think they're still looking for her husband, I guess, or something.
Well, I don't think they're going to find him.
Where is he, Kevin?
I don't know.
Where is he, Kevin?
Something?
Maybe he's
Fed
going
him
to
to
plead
the
the
big
fifth.
cats.
But, if I had to pick between the two, who I was going to have lunch with, it would be Carol. I can handle her.
You know Carol. I know
No.
she's on Clubhouse all the time.
No.
I got in there and I saw her in a lot of different rooms.
Which club?
Clubhouse, the new app where people
Oh, really?
go into group settings and
No, I saw her on Dancing with the
different-
Stars, though, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, are we going to make a break? She answered
Keep
that
going.
one.
I
Got
don't
one for
know,
her,
It's a
Gavin?
pretty open book. It's a great organization, a great cause.
Oh, I got a good one.
mission.
You said raising money has been the hardest thing. Who, pulled the plug after saying they were going to donate money to you, and then last minute backed out? Name that company or person. There's always no-shows or people say, hey, I'm going to donate $1 million, and then last minute, the check does not arrive.
Yeah, I got a list of those
I
names.
know.
As we know, the FAU Adams Center for Entrepreneurship is also a nonprofit, and I've had a lot of meetings with people, but not a lot of checks.
I can't say. I mean, honestly, I have to listen. If I could name somebody and put the screws to them right now for doing that, I would. But people are pretty good, and we whether it's me or my staff, when somebody makes a pledge, we stay on top of it. We really haven't had that happen.
It will. Right?
I'm
I know
sure.
Kevin sees this all the time. It's about to be written, and then COVID-19 hits and said, we can't do it now. Things have changed. I know that
Yeah.
happened to FAU.
Oh
when
yeah,
COVID hit.
definitely, and that could happen to you too. If you were working with somebody who does electronic financial transactions with a big company near Jason's down there in Parkland, they definitely pull out.
One thing I would say, I am so damn grateful that we did our capital campaign and our construction before now, because I know that there's some other animal shelters around or organizations just launching. And between the shortage of construction materials and people just looking at their finances because they don't know what's going on with, COVID, is COVID coming back, new politics, all sorts of things, and tax laws have changed. I would not want to have to start embarking on a brand new building right now. So
Yeah.
I feel for these people, for everyone, even private housing. It's
Yeah.
tough. Everything is shortage.
You're absolutely right. I see it all over the place, but you've got a phenomenal organization. I mean, I know it's legally and accounting-wise structured as a nonprofit, but as I learned more about it today, it's almost more of a hybrid because you do have these efficient ways to generate revenue while still servicing the community between the thrift store and the clinic, and that's what ensures sustainability, and you end up with an organization that's been around for 40 years instead of just basic donations. Like, hey, if we don't get X donations, everything shuts down. It's like, well, we can charge for services, we can have partners, we can do this, we can have a thrift store. You've really diversified in a nice way that creates a robust hybrid type of organization that we hope will continue to sustain. It's a great story.
Thank you. And again, I do want to credit my team. I mean, it takes a village. I get to be the proud spokesperson and the leader, but it's because of the team around me. It's my family, my Furry Friends family. They're incredible, including my PR team, Pantelides.
Okay, well,
For getting the word out for what we do. That's the other thing in business. Get a PR, because if you can have the greatest product, but if nobody knows about it.
of course.
Well, we'll help spread the word as well.
Yeah, so I'm going to make you plead the fifth before we end the show today.
Go ahead.
So, what is a competitor of yours that you may do something very similar, but you're not a fan of it? What's your most hated competitor? Name the company.
We're going to sit here and just keep.
Or plead the fifth if you don't want to say the name of the
And I'm
company.
going to plead the fifth.
There we go. We got it. Okay, so
All
if
right.
our audience wants to reach out to you, what is the best route?
Our website is furryfriendsadoption.org, or you can call at 561-747-5311, extension 1. As for Pat Deshong, I'll be happy to meet with anybody who wants to come see our new building. We still have some naming opportunities left. You want to come to our great fashion show November 6th, or event on February 26th, both at the beautiful Pelican Club in Jupiter. And we have a clay shoot in the spring in March by the great Palm Beach Land Rover. So all kinds of great events to, tickle your fancy.
I
Sounds
think
like
you need
fun.
to add a doggy podcast in there. I think that could be the next hot trend as well.
Yes, it could be.
Okay, well, thanks,
You
Pat.
want to partner with us on that?
We could consider it. We can. Well, thanks for joining us here on the Shrimp Tank. For everyone listening, we'll be back next Thursday at 4 p.m. at Shrimp Tank Boca on all your social feeds. Take care, everybody.
I've been feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank. When it take a swim, only option is to win.